Mr. Sandman. Right, who's singing? Right, you're getting muted. You are muted, mutated. Right, okay. La 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 la. Where's my intro? There it is. There. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Radio Apocalypse. I hope that you will enjoy the show tonight. Good evening, Scotland. Good evening, social media land. Welcome to Radio Apocalypse. It's a special tonight. It's all about the coronavirus conspiracies. This is like the truths or the not so truths, the crazy things or the not so crazy things, all about the virus that is plaguing the earth just now. Is it real? Is it a conspiracy? Is it manufactured? Is it a natural thing? Is it part of the 5G network? Is it in the water? Is it in the air? We don't know. But we've got some interesting theories and interesting actual facts as well tonight. And we have a house load of people tonight as well. We have a couple of our usual faces. One of our usual faces and somebody who's a bit of a mystery man that keeps on hiding behind his camera with a different name. We also have a new panel member tonight called Steve. I will be bringing them all in and you will see some of the usual faces in a second or two. But first, let me just do my usual thank yous to the emergency services and all the frontline key workers that are looking after us just now. Tonight at 8 o'clock, Great Britain opened their doors and windows and started shouting, screaming, banging drums, playing bagpipes, hitting pots in basically recognition of these key workers. And I want to say I did a bit of clapping too. I was supposed to film it, but my phone ran out of batteries. That's just poor management on my behalf. So next Thursday, we will make sure that Mojack's Happy's camera is up and running. And we shall also ask everybody that's on the panel to make a movie of themselves doing the same thing. I will explain to Cognag exactly what that's all about because he's looking very confused in the back room just now. What do you mean you're banging drums and stuff? I don't know. It's crazy. So, first of all, let me bring in the panel members. I'm going to unmute their mics and we can get them to come in and I will introduce you all. So, who do we have tonight? We have in the top right-hand corner, I better take that little sticker off so we can see he doesn't have his camera on, but it is Mr. X. Oh no, it's Angel. There we go. We can see him now. That's good. And then underneath Angel, we have Stephen, our latest and newest member of the panel, come in, a long-lost friend from a long time ago, coming to join us to have a wee chit-chat about things. And then there is the handsome man away in California, Mr. Cognag. We like that chap. He's always here. He never leaves me alone. He likes to ramble almost as much as I do. And we like that. So, gentlemen, how are you this evening?
Top banana.
Fantastic.
Top banana. Steve, how are things with you?
Great, mate. Great. Living the dream, mate.
Living the dream. And Cognag, what's the weather like in Cali?
We actually have a nice sunny day today, so I did my laundry today. And then we're going to have like 4 days of rain starting Sunday.
Is it Sunday? Awesome. How do you know for sure it's going to be Sunday?
Our Doppler system somehow tell that far ahead.
The Doppler radar. Oh man.
Yeah.
I think that's a conspiracy as well. It's all a conspiracy. It's all a bit mad.
Like
Right,
the planes
so-
that make the planes that make the fake clouds in the sky, so we think we have an atmosphere.
Yeah. We can do a whole thing about chemtrails another time. I'd be happy to discuss that because that worries me. Listen, ladies and gentlemen that have joined us in Facebook and in YouTube, please make yourselves known. I can see Equilibrium there already said hi. A good evening, my lady. I hope Ireland is very well. Thank you for joining us. We have a special tonight. It's not the usual show. It is a bit about the conspiracies of and around Corona. It's going to be fun. Everybody's got interesting things to say, and we will give everybody time things to say as well. But we're going to start off with a little look at some of the more fun things to do with the coronavirus. When I say fun, this is a report from The Telegraph: coronavirus myths, scams, and conspiracy theories that have gone viral. These are the ones which you may or may not have heard of. You may think were true, but let us have a look at them now. We're going to go straight to the first one. You should be wary of receiving packages from China. Shut up. I buy stuff from Wish all the time. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Wish, right, is they're responsible for spreading the virus throughout the world. You know, have you guys ever bought anything from Wish before?
I thought nobody ever received anything when they
Mm.
tried to buy from Wish.
Yeah, no, I've received stuff from Wish. I buy technology from Wish all the time. It's cheap Chinese stuff, but it works really well. It's quite good. But have you never received stuff before, Steve?
I've never tried, mate. I've just heard bad reviews.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I've not had any deliveries, but they have taken 2 months before. I usually start to buy crappy Christmas presents for the kids from Wish in about June to ensure that they're there for December, which is crazy. What about you, Mr. X, our angel? Have you bought anything from Wish before?
Nope, but I've got the app on my smartphone.
Yeah, there's some good stuff on there. And
Yeah, no,
Cognag, do you know what Wish is?
I do not.
It's like a shopping app, but most of the products come from China. You get some
Got it.
based around Europe and things as well,
Now,
but it's relatively
Is it
cheap and
like
affordable.
that episode of Simpsons back in the 90s when everyone's getting the packages from China, but they all cough into the boxes inherently and then send them off to America?
Oh my god. That's a
Never thought that.
conspiracy. Well, the Simpsons, time-traveling Simpsons is just ridiculous. We could do a show about that in itself as well.
They
insane.
totally called
Insane.
this.
They call it all the time. They do. They get it. I'm sure there's some black magic going on there with the Simpsons. It's crazy.
Inside info.
So anyway,
Inside
should
info.
we not be receiving packages from China? Of course we can. Okay, despite what internet conspiracy theorists might suggest, it is safe to receive posts from China. The World Health Organization has studied how long viruses survive on letters or packages and say those receiving mail from China are not at risk. You'd probably be more at risk from the postee delivering the letter than you would be from the letter itself.
Got it. So
Right,
no express
cocaine.
deliveries.
Yeah, no express deliveries. That's exactly right. Or do it in a bag and get the postie to take the bag away afterwards. There we go. Cocaine can kill coronavirus. This is false. The French Ministry of Health has been forced to scorch rumours that the Bolivian marching... I can't believe the Telegraph has called it Bolivian marching powder on their website. That is something of like tabloid newspapers, not like a Telegraph. The Telegraph. Bolivian marching powder can kill the virus after a series of false stories begin circulating online. Red wine, what's that one? Something else. And a Gallic shrug are also thought to be ineffective. That's insane. Cocaine would be able to do that. That's just not on. It's just not on at all. Cocaine, the only thing I know that cocaine actually kills is brain cells.
And rock stars.
On your nose.
Rock stars. Oh, that's wow. That was brilliant, Cognag. Rock stars. Never thought of that. Brain
your
cells
nose.
and rock stars. And your nose, yes. We've seen people that have taken too much cocaine that have lost the tip of their nose. You know, from
Whoa, really?
constantly
That can
snorting and
happen.
stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
Michael
man.
Jackson.
Yeah. Michael Jackson. No, I don't know what they're using the
Whoa.
cocaine. That's crazy. Right, moving on. Alcohol can kill coronavirus. False again. In similar vein, booze will not prevent you from catching a virus. So us Scottish people that drink far too much whiskey are not safe, no matter what they say. According to official news agency, 16 people in Iran died from methanol poisoning after drinking bootleg alcohol. And whether it's moonshine or the finest Merlot, your triple of choice, will not cure the coronavirus.
I
Steve, have
guess
you
the body
heard
can't be
anything about?
65% alcohol.
No, that wouldn't be good. That would poison you, mate. If your body was 65% alcohol, you'd be unconscious. Seriously,
I
that's
can't believe
crazy.
it.
Steve, have you
Yeah,
come
that's
across anything at all in your sort of readings over the past sort of couple of weeks of lockdown for you? Have you come across anything that jumps out in similar veins, or have you heard of anything? I mean,
Nah,
have you anything at all?
nah, no, nah, nah,
Not
nah.
that sort of thing.
Nah,
It's one of those sort of, when you
just
look at this,
only the
sorry,
normal stuff. Just the
the normal stuff.
soap and water. That's it.
Aye, soap and
Apparently,
water is the way
that's
forward.
our cure. That's the
I
cure.
did. You want to know what's cool about the soap? So I guess it has a fatty membrane around it that protects it. So the soap actually washes that fatty membrane off of it and then leaves it completely vulnerable because it's dead, and that's the only thing keeping it alive. So I think that's pretty freaking cool.
That's pretty cool. Didn't know that. Whether it kills it or not, what we do know is it washes it clean off your hands. So if you're washing your hands with warm water, hot water, and soap, it cleans it off your hands and down at the sink. If you were washing your hands on your dinner plate, that might not be so productive, to be perfectly honest. So let's have a look. Hand dryers kill the coronavirus. And that's not true as well. So not even those made by James Dyson. Oh God, this is such a shit article. Hand dryers are not effective in killing the coronavirus or any other known viruses. To protect yourself, clean your hands frequently, like we just said. It says with an alcohol-based hand rub or wash them with soap and water. Once your hands are cleaned, you should dry them thoroughly using paper towels or a warm air dryer. You don't really want to be using a hand towel in case you rub any of the virus off there, and it
I
just
just do
damp
this thing.
environment. You what? Sorry.
I just do this thing.
You just
And wave
do that
them
thing.
dry.
You just wave your jazz hands around.
Spirit fingers.
Spirit fingers. I'm thinking more jazz hands. You know. God, you and your jazz. All right, spraying alcohol and chlorine all over your body.
Wait, what?
Alcohol, chlorine.
No.
That's just going to sting. That's not going to be a good thing. Not at all. Who's for that? Who wants it? Mr. Angel, would you like
Yes,
to
sir.
spray your body down with chlorine and or alcohol?
Neither.
Right. I don't know. I think that
I would rather have a drink of alcohol rather than spray myself alcohol. And as for chlorine, I fucking hate the smell. Ugh.
So
Turns my
getting
black
drunk
clothes
at the
pink.
swimming pool is not your best sort of thing, then, is it?
No.
That's good. Now, I can't think of anything there at all. Like spraying alcohol and chlorine all over your body will kill a new coronavirus. It says no. Obviously, it's false. I think spraying chlorine on your body is going to nip. It's not going to be good. It says here, spraying alcohol or chlorine all over your body will not help. You are not American chicken. Okay. Spraying such substances can be harmful to clothes or mucous membranes, i.e. in your eyes and mouth, warns the World Health Organization. Alcohol and chlorine can be useful for disinfecting surfaces, but they need to be used under appropriate recommendations. Drinking minerals. What is miracle mineral solution? Has anybody come across that before?
Mineral solution? That the stuff you're supposed to, like saline solution, you spray it on tattoos or piercings you get. It's a really high salt concentrated sterilizer spray for like piercings.
Right, very good.
I thought it was
Or
mercury.
if that's what that might be.
Says there that
But
don't know,
just in case,
it
another
sounds-
bad thing for the chlorine spray is anyone who dyed their hair within a week, it'll take that
Yeah.
color and either turn it bright orange or bright red, or a bright color they definitely don't want.
So we're not going to spray it. We're going to spray our body. We're not going to spray our hair with that. So even though it doesn't work, let's not spray it at all. It's not good for you.
Yeah.
Not good for your hair. It's pretty crappy. What one was that? That is the miracle. So you're saying the miracle mineral solution is like your saline solution for
It's
keeping,
I kind of that's what I would take as it, but if it's mineral solution, there's probably more than just salt in it, because the one I have used is a saline solution.
Okay. It says here the liquid contains bleach and also falsely promoted as a miracle cure for everything from autism to cancer and HIV. Don't fall for this scam. So
It's the
whether it's what
reinvented
you're
miracle tonic from back in the day. The dude who sells out in the
snake oil
cart.
salesman. Crazy.
Yeah.
Eating garlic will help prevent infection with new coronavirus. Now listen, garlic is good. Garlic has incredible health benefits anyway, apart from making you smelly a little bit. All right, it has incredible uses. Steve, if I remember rightly, are you a man that enjoys cooking?
I do a bit.
You do a bit. Do you dabble? Do you use fresh garlic or powdered garlic or anything? Do you
I
put a
use
stock on it?
powdered garlic.
I use both. I like powdered garlic because it's a bit more mellow and adds flavour. And I like putting fresh garlic into soups because I usually do it at the end because I like the antioxidants in it as well as the flavour. But garlic as a whole is super good for you. However, in this situation here, garlic may help ward off vampires. Do you hear that, Jason?
No
No
comment.
garlic for you, sir. Okay.
I love garlic.
Yes, I know. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I think it's going to make you explode if you have too much of it.
I've got garlic in my
off
fridge.
You've got garlic in your fridge. Okay.
Yeah. And garlic paste.
Okay.
Ooh.
You're just saying that so next time you come up and you try to bite me, all right? You're
Look, Mojax, I'm a vegetarian.
Right, very good. Okay, let's move on. It's useless against the coronavirus. It's a healthy food that may have antimicrobial properties. However, there is no evidence from the current outbreak that eating garlic has protected people from the new coronavirus, says the World Health Organization.
They would never want something
Coronavirus-
natural to be the cure.
It would be great if it was. It would be really good if
Yeah.
it was.
I'm still gonna keep eating it just because.
Yeah, totally. There's nothing wrong with eating a bit of garlic. There was a guy at my work, he's retired now, that used to work in the bakery at my work, that used to like to have garlic heated up, raw garlic heated up in a microwave, and then you'd squeeze it onto like whatever he'd had for his lunch, but it would make the whole of the colleague canteen stink. So people used to plan their lunches away from the time that he took his break. I didn't
remember
mind
him.
it at all. I used to. You what? Sorry.
I remember him.
Yes, he's retired now. Bless him. What was his name again?
Trevor.
Tam. Trevor. Yes. How could we forget Trev? Trevor, if you're ever watching this back, because I don't believe he'd ever be on the stream just now, we miss you, man, and your garlicky smell and your fishy nonsense that you microwaved as well. And I'm sure you did it on purpose just to noise everybody up.
I did.
But the man
Yeah.
never ever had a cold or a virus, funnily enough. He was never off sick with a cold or a virus. Amazing. Coronavirus was leaked from a high security lab in Wuhan, and China is trying to cover it up. Well, we can talk about that later in some detail if anybody has anything to say about that. But it says here false, but as likely as Salisbury Nokovic attacks of last year, emulating from our own high security laboratory in Portendown, which is not more than a stone's throw from the historic city. In short, it's total nonsense. Now, when they're saying just now that former Russian agent, double agent guy, wasn't assassinated by the British deep state. That's debatable, and we could do a show on that alone as well, to be perfectly honest, because that there's all sorts of evidence and anomalies there. Was it the Russians? Could have been. Was it the Russian government? Doubt it. Potentially, it's probably more like to be Russian gangsters, because with all conspiracies and most seriously deep crimes, you want to follow the money, and that particular case has got a very interesting money trail. We'll talk about that another time, guys, because I think we should just actually do conspiracies once a week, because I'm coming up with 2, 3, and 4 ideas worth of content just now, purely around conspiracies. Interesting. Right, okay. Saline rinse. Here we go. Saline rinse and mouthwash help prevent an infection. This is false.
It ended up there. It really ended up there. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Why would people
my wife,
they're drinking salt water?
Well, it's to use it like a mouthwash, like to gargle with it and things. What it does is it loosens off any sort of mucousy sort of stuff that's on the back of your throat anyway. So whether you spit it out
after like getting teeth pulled and stuff like that.
It's good for sort of sanitizing your mouth. That's all it is. So one of the best things for sanitizing your mouth though is water and like baking soda. Would you believe?
Or a bar of soap.
That's what I used to use when I had cancer. I had to gargle with it, and because I used to get a dry mouth, and so because I've only got one saliva gland now, I still kind of do it like once a day. It basically helps to keep your mouth sanitary in a very, very natural pH sort of way, which is good.
See, that's really cool.
So the bathroom cupboard is not going to provide any. Pardon me?
I didn't know that. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's something that the hospital's actually recommending. It's something you can just buy yourself and make very easily, which is great, which is super good. Right, last one here about the saline. It says the bathroom cupboard is not provide any more help in fighting coronavirus than the kitchen cupboard unless it's to retrieve soap or hand sanitizer. Unfortunately, there's no evidence to suggest that regularly rinsing the nose with saline or gargling mouthwash will wash off COVID. But there you go. That's all some of the sort of theories that are kind of debunked by things. Have you got any comments on that, guys, about anything that came up there?
No, I think that's pretty straightforward stuff, that.
Yeah, it's kind of boring, to be perfectly honest. It's pretty mundane. There's nothing there that sort of goes, ooh, conspiracy. But there we go. So I have my big book of planning here with things that I wanted to talk about tonight. But before we move on and give people in the panel an opportunity to have a wee chat and we can have discussions, I will go through every single person on the panel tonight. We're going to do that, the panel section next. And if you've got something you want to bring up and you want to discuss it with the rest of us, do so. Let me first of all say, anybody that is watching just now, okay, from Facebook or YouTube, please say hello so we know that you're there. And also please comment as well so we can bring you into the discussion so we can hear your views on what we're talking about. Because I'm always interested to hear what you guys are saying. And if you're on YouTube just now, do me a little favor, just while you're there, go and just click that subscribe button because you're there already, and click the little bell, because all that does is allows YouTube's head to look towards me a little bit more and start to take the stuff that I put up here a little bit more seriously. It's small steps, but it helps greatly towards me. Right, so we're going to start in the top right-hand corner with our good friend Angel. He's called himself Mr. X tonight. Do you have anything that you would consider a wild, crazy conspiracy theory or something that jumped out to you from your friends in parts of the web that we shouldn't really be talking about or anything? Have you got anything that you want to say?
Well, I did send you a couple of videos earlier on your messenger. Did you manage to get them okay?
I'm just bringing them up. I kind of went live because I got carried away speaking to you.
The thing is this biotoxin, whatever you want to call it, I reckon it's been around for a while. because if anyone knows, there's a place on the internet called the dark web where you can get anything for a price. Now, since late October last year, the dark web has been becoming more and more quiet every day. Now, since COVID-19 finally made itself known to the world, the dark web has been extremely quiet. No one's talked about it. No one stood up on a soapbox and said, I'm responsible. The general chatter about it is quiet. And one of the things in that little Telegraph, little list of rumours and conspiracies, and that the thing, Wuhan was not responsible for making this biotoxin. Now, I'm very much into conspiracies within conspiracies within conspiracies, because I'm part of a group which is called the Dark Torch. And the Dark Torch basically is an organisation which consists of politicians, doctors, lawyers, MPs, everyone in the walk of life. But you can't go to them and say, I want to be a member. They have to bring you in. They have to veto you in. And when you attend, you have to say your piece in front of a panel of 5. And after you said your piece, they will then decide there and then, are you going to get blackballed or are you going to get whiteballed? So basically, you get an answer there and then. And from there on, that's where the rabbit's tunnel begins. But the thing about in the Telegraph you just stated there about Wuhan not making this, I think it was 1946, 1947, but the Far East, after World War II, signed a declaration with NATO abolishing abolishing their rights to do nuclear testing, leaving the nuclear testing to the Americans, the Russians, the British, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is there was no mention of bioweaponry or biotoxins or chemistry or anything. So basically, if the Telegraph is saying that Wuhan isn't responsible for making this thing, this is where my conspiracy thing comes in, is basically there is rumours that if you've seen videos, there's videos on China on YouTube from 60 Minutes. It's a TV program which is aired in Australia. It doesn't necessarily last 60 minutes, but basically it covers the world in general in 60 minutes. And last year, one of the reporters actually basically did a documentary, and he was like walking down the streets in a part of China but no tourists go to. And the rubbish there was like yawn high. I'm talking not just like 1 or 2 bags. We're talking about a big stack of rubbish. And that was everywhere he went in this area of China. But the thing is my conspiracy thing is basically China has had a population problem since day one. They always have this thing. So rather than deporting their nationalists, they put them in slums. And basically, they're like sardines. They're so tightly packed.
Right.
But
so tell me, with regards to the rubbish, with regards to the sardines and things like that, Wuhan is a city of 23 million people. So you're telling me that basically it's just the compression of human nature, human beings together, that could potentially have had this come out. Listen, that you have to understand, okay, that the facts all go, right, that this came from the wet markets, right? It was an animal-based virus that mutated from animal to animal to animal until it found its wings basically to jump upon a human being. All right. And the wet markets are a perfect example of this. And it was the Wuhan wet markets. It just so happens that around this area, they have biolabs. So I don't know whether it has to do anything with the compression of human beings in one particular area or piles of rubbish, Angel. But I'm a firm believer that it's started naturally. It may have been engineered.
As I was saying, the thing is the labs are so many feet below the underground. And the thing is since China has this population problem and they can't ship them out to other countries, what they do is they seep out this biotoxin to basically keep basically their population problem to a minimum. So
Okay.
basically, this biotoxin is being pumped out on a regular basis. And the thing is I've heard reports from people that there's reports of people getting headaches. Fertility in Wuhan has dropped quite dramatically. That's a new one I found out this afternoon. And also at the same time is this biotoxin basically has done a double whammy. It's seeped to the east and it's seeped to the west, and that's why it spread so quick. Because the thing is it's been pumped out. It's been pumped out on a regular basis, and the thing is at the same time I've been following satellites over China on my smartphone because I've got an app. And when this first kicked off, China had white clouds. And if you've got white clouds, it means basically either rain or something's not right. Most
But the
preferably rain.
pollution, just so Jason, the pollution over Wuhan, okay, they didn't have China, certain parts of China, yeah, white clouds. Wuhan didn't. They had a ridiculous pollution problem. And because of the lack of cars with the lockdown, they ended up with blue skies as a result of it. That's something that with the satellites done.
Because
but I want to bring in the rest of the panel just now as well. I just want to bring the rest of the guys in just now because I'm sure that they might have their own opinions, their own sort of like things with regards to what's going on in Wuhan at all. I mean, I've said what I thought it was, which is like the wet markets and things, because that's all I've really read about. Do the other gentlemen, do they have anything at all that you've read or seen or heard about the city of Wuhan in China? Steve, have you heard anything?
I'm the same as you, Mo. It's I think it's originated from the wet markets. Obviously, you know my background with animals, so it's been going on for a long time there, and a few things have come from that sort of environment, hasn't it? A lot of things.
Well, SARS came from there as well.
So I mean,
SARS was a disease that jumped from animals to human beings.
Certainly would make sense.
What about you, Cognac?
Okay. Now, based off of what I've looked and learned a little bit about, I kind of had my own that I had mentioned earlier. Now, it would actually tag into either of these situations, but they found out that viruses, because they were able to take out chunks of the ice caps and the viruses that have been frozen for over 30 years, once they actually became defrosted and in contact with something, they were still able to infect. That means they do a lot of fishing and stuff out in the ocean in places where they shouldn't and whatnot, kind of catch everything and eat everything from the ocean. Well, those viruses, as those polar ice caps are melting, are leaking into the ocean, then infecting the fish. And whether they actually get sick or not, like the fish population, we then eat that fish that they catch, and they eat that fish that they catch. So
never thought that.
Virus
and those kind of scary.
And if they can live that long in ice, my other thing was that, so the kind of like a Stephen Hawking's kind of theory. So an asteroid travels through, catches a virus from from anywhere out in space, right? It can contain it frozen inside that chunk until it hits somewhere, and it defrosts instantly and comes in contact with our atmosphere.
Viruses
it's also possible.
Aliens anyway. You know, they could be extraterrestrials as a whole. There's another.
Oh, that's the funny thing. The aliens word. Now, that was our word for it, right? So, like, if they come here first, are we the aliens type of thing? So that's like I don't think they're aliens. It's just other. I like to see it as other organisms that have not yet had a chance to evolve because they aren't somewhere where they can.
Whether or not, I'm a great believer in that there must be some sort of frozen viruses underneath the ice caps.
But that's the main one.
Whether they could survive in the sea or not, I can't comment. I'm not a scientist. It's
no,
like I don't know. I don't know
exactly. I don't either.
But
my brain just sees it as if we did stuff like excavations in those ice caps and brought back chunks of that ice ourselves, totally also possible. but still,
Mhm.
that would have to like. I
Yeah,
think it's a frozen thing. I think
somewhere.
I think it's coming from ice caps. That's my deal.
The origins of it, the World Health Organization go with the wet markets. Um, the conspiracy theory is like what Jason's saying. It's potentially engineered from the Chinese biolabs. Um, every country, we've got our own biolabs here as well. Every country signed a non-proliferation agreement about not using biological weapons. It's against the Geneva Convention and other conventions as well to use them. But it doesn't stop people from actually experimenting with them. And we have down south some of the nastiest diseases contained in vaults that you could possibly imagine in Great Britain. And America have them as well. And I would probably say a lot of the NATO countries, the bigger NATO countries that are nuclear powers, they probably have biotech as well. And it's kind of frightening.
And that's why I was kind of interested in what Angel said, because I really didn't know much about the conspiracies around it, but hearing him too. So it being man-made. So what I know about the man-made portion of it now is to test the medicines that they're going to use before they might test on people. They were creating using strands of whatever they can to create like as close to what is that COVID and see what they can use against it, right? So essentially, were we not accidentally creating what might be different versions of it by mistake?
You know, the whole thing with conspiracy theories or theories is they are just theories, and every single one is valid and ridiculous. You know, we all speak what we've
That's
come
why I
across,
really like them.
what other people are
There's so many
saying,
options.
and what we've heard and what we've read. But there's every single opinion, every single theory is completely 100% valid until
I literally wrote them all down because I don't want to forget any of them. They're awesome.
You're a good man. But the whole thing is right now it's a terrible disease. People are getting hurt, or actually are they? So before I want to move on to one of my little things is I want to say, Steve, is there anything that you want to bring up just now before we go on to my book of my planetarium? I call this my planetarium. It's my planet. Oh, listen, I've not got the cameras on us all. It's still in the handsome Cognac. There we go. So my black book here is where I keep all the notes for each show. So I've got a record of them. And I call it my planetarium. So I've got quite a lot of interesting notes to go on with, and one amazing thing to finish up. Well, two amazing things to finish up with: an outlandish theory of mine, and one which is actually factual. But what was there anything you were going to say, Steve?
Well, I've not really got any conspiracy theories as such. I tend to stay away from the conspiracies. But there was a couple of things that crossed my mind the other day, and I was talking to one of my friends about just everything that's going on, and he actually said a couple of things that I'd already been thinking about. Now, the first one is obviously one thing that nobody seems to have been picking up on when Boris Johnson's been handing out all the money. He did say we're going to have to balance the books at some point. All right. Now, that to me, that means they're going to raise the taxes. So that's going to give everybody lower wages. Nobody's going to really be bothered too much, though, because they're all just going to be so happy to get out the house and get back to work. But that's not going to be enough to rescue the economy. So they're going to have to start selling some big assets. Now, what's our biggest asset? The NHS.
Yeah.
So they're going to sell NHS to America. All right?
Dude.
This is already kind of, I mean, it's a bit freaky that somebody else would think the same as me. But the next thing is, when America buys over the NHS and rescues our economy and all the rest of it, America's then going to put sanctions on China. And then what's going to happen? What's going to happen when America puts sanctions on China?
Oh, we'll go to war. We'll end up at war again, no doubt, or some sort of nasty economic war, which is what I think.
Well,
is
see,
going on just
our
now.
problem over here in the U.S. is 50% of our products, our shoes, our clothes, come from there. We're gonna have to learn how, without them, if there's a chance where like there's so many products they make for us, to be honest.
Well, China's the factory of the world, isn't it? It basically makes everything. And you know something. The biggest problem in America,
if that happens, we literally all go back to archaic living for.
Nah, you just make the shoes yourself.
That is archaic.
You just make the shoes yourself, man. It's dead easy. Well, it's not. I don't know how to make shoes, but I'm sure that that entrepreneur Mr. Trump will set up a factory for making shoes. Good.
Well, the clogs look easy. You just drill through wood.
American shoes. It's American shoes.
American shoes. You get those at Walmart. They last like a week.
Yeah, no, those
Can
aren't American.
I say one thing? Can I say one thing interesting? Right.
Yeah.
Has anyone been following the news before this kicked off?
Oh my. Okay. Which scared me.
Right.
I did not know how long it went back.
Donald Trump flew over direct to the UK to oversee the Ford plant in South Wales get closed.
Okay.
He met with the Queen. He also met with the Prime Minister, and he was only in this country for 3 days tops.
Uh-huh.
And then he was back over to the States.
Okay.
During that time, he tried to make a bid for the Scottish NHS, and we told him,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And he then tried to buy a German pharmaceutical company who went, you.
Okay.
The thing is, Donald Trump does not have a bean to his name. Not because he's president, but in real life, he doesn't have a bean to his name because he's had so many court cases in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And he's using his own family resource, which is his dad's money, not his own money, his own dad's money, his dad's wealth, to bail him out. And there was also talk that he hired, and this is another conspiracy, he hired Eastern Bloc computer operators. He hired them to rig his vote.
I wouldn't surprise me.
The thing is, they've turned round and said to DT, they've turned round to
I'm ashamed of us. I'm ashamed of my
people. No, nothing to be ashamed about, Cognac. I'm just kidding.
I'm just like, it's I just can't believe like because I don't follow politics very much over here because of how they've been for a while. So whenever I actually hear from other countries or other areas what he's been up to, I kind of get baffled. Like
Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a laughing stock in this country. Okay, along with our Prime Minister.
So Boris Johnson.
Yeah, that's along with our Prime Minister. So, I mean, basically, if you look at the history of Donald Trump and this disease, it's like, oh, it's just a flu. Oh, if you take this cocktail of drugs, you'll be fine. Oh, it's not that bad. It'll blow over in 2 weeks. And then it's like, oh, shit, we're going to die. The guy is like Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson was standing in hospital, shaking people's hands that had the virus, saying to the press conference, you'll be glad I've been shaking hands with everybody. You'll be glad to know that I've been shaking hands with everybody. And there's COVID patients in here, I'm sure. Yes, I was delighted to see you shaking hands with potentially viral people, Mr. Johnson. And I wouldn't wish the virus upon anybody, but I'm very glad you're self-isolating and abiding by your own rules. Okay? It's crazy to think that certain leaders of the world, even Putin might have it. Now, Putin it was a massive press sort of like opportunity. We did the video yesterday of it on the show, where Putin was wearing a full hazmat suit in a hospital, and then the next scene in the hospital was him just in his normal clothes, giving handshakes and hugs to doctors.
And a shell suit.
So
Yeah,
this brings this
in his Gopnik outfit. Gopnik outfit. Nah,
Was it turquoise,
it's-
Stephen? Was it turquoise?
yeah, no, it was a 1980s
It's the whitest white I've
Russian
ever seen,
Soviet
mate.
Olympics one. Right, guys, listen up. Okay, we've talked. Stephen hit a very good point there, about money. Okay, with anything to do with conspiracy theories or big crime. Okay, detectives always follow the money. Okay, and this is I'm gonna link everything that I've got here together into leading up to the sort of bombshell thing I want to do at the end, and we'll jump in, and you guys, I'll give you opportunities to comment on what I'm talking about, right? So the first thing I want to say just now is it was brought to my attention. This whole theory comes from. Started off with my wife tonight when I was researching other things. She came through and said that Dr. What the hell is his name? Komaporovsky, who's a Ukrainian doctor. He's a famous Ukrainian doctor. I can't say his name properly because I can't read my own writing. Okay, but he has a television show in Russia. He has a YouTube channel and an Instagram channel. He's famous for giving advice on the health of children. Okay, looking after them and raising your children healthily. And you know, he's basically renowned in that part of the world as being a relative expert on such things. But he's, like everybody else, has jumped on the bandwagon of COVID-19. He's giving his opinions about that. And he does a lot of reading of news articles like I do as well, right? But he also asks pertinent questions. Okay, now, one of the pertinent questions is the data all accurate? Right? Is the data accurate for the deaths? Okay. Now, what would it mean if you took 100 people that had the virus, okay, or 100 people that you know that had the virus, and we're sitting at around about between 10 and 16% mortality rate, which we'll take at the upper levels is 16%. Okay. So that's 16 people out of 100 dying. That's scary. That is a massive amount of people dying, and it makes massive headlines. Okay, but what if there was people not presenting symptoms but had COVID-19 that weren't included in
I just
that?
saw something on that.
Yeah, that is what we're
25 to 50%.
Yeah, 25 to 50% of, if you were to take everything, and it's actually more than that, okay? In Iceland, okay, they took 5% of their population just randomly, and this is a fact, okay? This is not a conspiracy, okay? They took 5% of their population and they tested them for COVID-19. The 100% of the people that had it, they discovered 50% of them were showing no symptoms. 50%. So that, if you take the model of 100 people, okay, means that 50 of them are not presenting symptoms. So if you've got people dying, all right, and you have a large number of people dying, but you're not including half of the people in that model for the statistics, okay, that means that statistics are skewed and it looks far worse than it actually is. Think about that for a second. Why would anybody not want to show everybody potentially having it? Is it because we don't have enough tests? Well, there's another thing about the tests. In Scotland, Westminster have just requisitioned all the COVID-19 tests from Scotland down to England. Why have they done
Ours
that?
were faulty back in February. They found
This
out
isn't
all of the
anything to do
tests we
with
did in
faultiness.
February
This
were
is
actually
brand spanking new ones from the EU, mate. This is new ones. Okay? They have requisitioned them for down south. Why have they done that? Because we have an independent NHS and we could potentially test people in the same way that Iceland has done, and we could discover the same thing. Now, if two countries were discovering that 50% of people tested are not showing any anything at all, any
We
form
finally have
of
equal statistic.
yeah, you've got basically a statistic which is not accurate. So it means that if you've got 50% more, if you've got 100 people and 50% more, if that's only 50% of the people, that means you've actually got 200 people that have had it, and there's only 16 of those 200 people that that having. It's still a lot of people dying, but it's like 100% less in the form of statistics. Do you get me? Isn't that weird?
I do.
It's a bit mental.
And I have to let you know, so that by chance that article that
Mm-hmm.
had that, is that the same one that also talks about it having 8 different strains?
No, that's a different article. The 8 different strains
Okay.
is was one where it was an article about London being the hub of the world for the spread of 8 different strains and how it basically came. The 8 different strains are just mutations. It was a
Oh,
different.
see, we didn't read. It doesn't read like that over here. Like it's stated that all they could find was that there were 8 different. But it's because it doesn't mutate, I guess, until it's in our system.
I don't know.
That was the other weird thing I heard was it mutates the moment it hits a mucous membrane and actually absorbs in or does what it does. It mutates at that very moment. So depending on someone's conditions they might already have. My other theory was that's why it's not that other people might be more susceptible, but it will, if it can change during mutation into other things, that means the medicine they would make for one wouldn't cure the other 7.
Well, that's true, but the thing when they do vaccines,
So that's why I don't want that one to be real.
That's why you've got a different flu vaccine every year, because the flu mutates every year. So
Yeah.
Steve, you and I talked offline beforehand, and I said I want to talk about Iceland, and you said you were going to blow my mind with something, and I know that I kind of stole your thunder there with that. What do you feel about the testing that's gone on in Iceland regarding this?
I never. That's not what I was meaning, mate. My whole thing's the whole NHS thing, mate.
Say that again. I just lost you for a second there.
Saying I never had anything on Iceland.
Oh no! Right.
No,
Okay.
no.
What was it that you were going to say? What was it that you were going to do?
I just I've already said my bit, man, about the NHS.
All right. Cool. Yeah, the NHS. No, this is the NHS led me right into it, because I'm leading on to something which is my outlandish theory, which ties in exactly with what you were saying about the NHS and assets and
really?
corporate takeover of Great Britain by America. So let's go back and think about why any government would turn around and skew statistics. Okay, now what has happened as a result of all this? It's a straight back. Hold on, we've got our gentleman's back again. Sorry, he's there. Great. We have a direct reaction to this. Is the first time in history there's been a national lockdown during the day. Okay, there was curfews at night during the Second World War, stuff like that. But we're in a position where, 99% of the population is behind closed doors. What are they doing out in the world in these countries that are locked down while we're all behind closed doors? Okay, now I had a message from a friend of mine that's a bit of a buff. He lives down in London. He has friends that work in telecommunications, and one of his friends in telecommunications got in touch with him and says there's a lot more 5G towers going up around London and all over the country just now. They're not active, but they're there. Okay, now, if you know anything about 5G, 5G is basically, it's like, God, 20 years ahead of our time just now when it comes to networking. And if you have overlapping sort of Wi-Fi of 5G, it becomes even faster. So if you've got overlapping like circles of this broadcast, you can do a lot of things with 5G. It
Then I
speeds
better
up.
not see any lag on my stuff, or else I'm gonna complain.
Well, no, you won't want 5G after this, mate. Okay, I'll tell you right now. Okay, there's some conspiracy theory that the virus comes from 5G towers and the radiation. I don't believe that. Okay, what makes more sense to me is the technology that you can actually use as a result of this, and this is where I get a little bit outlandish. And this is, I've not read this anywhere, but I've discussed it with the gentleman that gave me this information. Okay, his friend is party to teams in throughout the country just now that are erecting 5G towers. Okay, they just blend in. They don't look like anything special. Some of them will be showpieces that, okay, look at us, this is 5G, but then there's smaller hub ones which will provide the overlapping network. Okay, now if you have an overlapping network, things work faster. Your mobile phones work faster. Wi-Fi type cameras work faster. You have basically with 5G, you can broadcast 8K television pictures in full 8K perfectly. All right. Now, if you've seen an 8K telly before,
What's 8K?
Well, do you know what 4K is? A 4K television.
That's as far as we go over here.
No, we've got 8K televisions coming out here as well. Okay,
What?
8K is double 4K. Yeah, man. Get with the times. You're supposed to be American. You're supposed to be ahead of us. You know,
I use a Roku. I use like a Roku 1080.
I don't know what that
Classic.
is. Oh my God.
I guess they're going to be the new tube TVs, I guess, is what I'm hearing.
Those new color fangle. Yes, I'm still in a VHS world, mate. Okay, that's where I am.
I keep my VHS player. Hey, that thing's awesome.
It is. It's retro as hell. You keep that. Don't lose it, brother. Don't lose it. Right. So
You
moving
can't
on.
drop
With
kick a
that.
CD.
If you've got this technology in place, it makes computer programs work in the ether of Wi-Fi a lot faster. So, in a new world order situation, in a situation where they want to keep track of people, it's easy to do that with the phones. Okay, that's one thing. But it's also far easier to use facial recognition software. All right.
I'm going to start shaving off my eyebrows.
It will make no difference. Okay, you'll have to paint your face with reflective paint.
Can I just say one thing? Can I just say one thing?
Go ahead.
Has anyone in the UK, I don't know if you've read it yet, Cognac, but Stephen or Mojax, have you read that the NHS have got this app which is meant to tell if you've been near anyone who's had this virus? It's an app you can download.
There's nothing. That's the only thing that the government are doing just now, tracking wise, is O2 customers, as an experiment to track people through their phone for population.
He nailed it. They are weak. I heard. I'm surprised that my mom had called and told me about that. That they now have a way to track the people who are sick here. Yeah. So that I didn't know there's going to be an app for it. That's pretty gnarly.
They can't tell by the use of the telephone.
That app has been made mandatory in, I could be wrong, but I think it's maybe Japan. It's been made mandatory to use it.
So if you're registered as a COVID carrier, you have the app. This sounds
They're treating
ridiculous.
COVID patients God, I hate to say this. God, they're treating COVID patients like sex offenders.
Nah, I'd be kicking the shit out of a sex offender.
No, but it's not that. They're literally it's that thing, but it's not that. They're putting them on the same geographical mapping.
Listen,
they're not that bad. I would say just put the house location or something like that, but maybe not like the person's full location.
A sex offender is a predator of children, okay? As a predator of children or a predator of women or even a predator of men, right? A sex offender is completely different from a COVID person. COVID person
I know that. However, even also over here,
it's a stigma. It's the same.
It's just the only reason.
You're getting obviously a bad reputation, eh? Somebody's going
Yeah,
to
well-
know that you've got COVID or had COVID and you're in their area.
So if you are, let's have a think about this for a second, right? Okay, I'm not going to argue the pros and cons of being tracked or not just now. That's something that I'm not for being tracked as a whole. If you're a public liability, maybe. Should the public have that information? Definitely not. Should the government have that information? Possibly less than the public should, because the government always have nefarious purposes for things. And this is where I'm going with the facial recognition stuff, right? So if you're tracking people that have the virus, okay, and you know that they're not isolating, that's a positive thing. If you're using it for nefarious purposes and having a label and a stigma, like you guys are saying, that's not particularly good.
And that's why,
right?
and that's why I don't like. That's why I don't like that in our area. Is why I brought it up. So,
sure,
our Asian community over here are literally getting freaking treated really bad, even if they don't have anything to do with it, kind of stuff. And then on top of it,
that's social.
I mean, it's just like it's weird. It's just everyone seems to be treating it differently. Not every place is actually dealing with it slightly differently. It's crazy
That's
to hear
because
how many
people are
different
afraid of
methods
it.
there are.
People are afraid, okay, and people act funny when they're afraid, okay, and that's
And I
what
know
it boils down to.
even I
And
am. Yeah.
fear is a terrible, terrible motivator of negative feelings. Okay, so that's what the problem is. Moving on though, with regards to going on with the theory, right? So if you've got 5K and facial recognition software that works better, and then you've got tracking software in the phones, okay, you won't need tracking software in the phones with 5K facial recognition anyway, because your face is your tracking thing. Wherever there's a camera put in the network, they will be able to see where you are and who you are and what you're doing. Okay,
Satellite tower cameras.
it gets worse. Okay, you can have what we've got, these great toys that do great things in the air called drones that work and get controlled through Wi-Fi. Okay, you can fly drones using Wi-Fi. It connects to your phone, it connects to the drone, so you can basically control it that way. With 5K, again, with overlapping fields of 5K, you have seamless and without pockets or dark spots to be able to fly these things. And the highest tech drones will fly pretty much autonomously. All right, now this is why would we have drones in that sense? Well, the New World Order, the secret rulers of the world, would need less soldiers to do it, to patrol the streets and keep us under control. We wouldn't be able to hide because of facial recognition. Okay, I said this was outlandish. It's totally wild. It is.
No,
This is a great story for a great book in the future. All right, it's not real what I'm saying just now. Okay, but I just want to put the shitters up here. Okay, because
that's some awesome freaking thinking, man.
It gets worse. It gets worse, right? Okay, now nobody in their right mind is going to be flying a drone through Edinburgh with guns on it to shoot me for coming up with this theory, and I can't run away with it. Or are they? Because we've got a whole lot of drone pilots that are used to flying drones in wars just now. Okay? Now, has anybody watched The Mandalorian yet?
No.
You've not. The Mandalorian, you know, it's a Star Wars TV show, Steve, yeah?
Yeah.
The Mandalorian was actually, when you look at the sets and things, they look beautiful landscape sets, and it looks like you're in part of our world, our planet, where it's been filmed for different Star Wars things in the past. 90% of that show was filmed using a computer program called the Unreal Game Engine, which has been used for making computer games. Yeah, the Unreal Game Engine with overlapping depths, fields of depth. So when they move the camera, it's like a big screen. So when they move the camera, the actual background, the actual projection on the screen moves with it. Okay, perfectly. So about 90% of that show was filmed not on blue screen, but through the Unreal Engine on other screens behind, seamlessly, flawlessly, beautifully. Okay, now if they can create a television show based on that? Can they not create fictional scenarios for drone pilots to be flying through the desert warfare scenarios that they've got, but the drones are actually flying through cities to kill us conspiracy theorists? Oh, that's a bit outlandish, isn't it? I told you it was wild. I told you it was crazy. It's not true, but I like
How
to
many
put...
sci-fi things have you seen not come true so far?
Well, this is true. And like the Simpsons get it right, you know? It's my turn.
Star Trek gave
So
us Star Trek gave us cell
the
phones.
bottom line with all this, right, is who's going to benefit from all this, right? Who will benefit from all this? You follow the money. Who makes the money in the world? It's the top end central banks, and then who owns those central banks? Well, that's again the secret rulers of the world.
I was hearing about that, and I know very little about what you're talking about, so I do have to ask you a question before you continue.
Go on.
Leaders above the leaders, 12 higher world power kind of situation, like and that kind of war going on. That was the other thing I heard. Now, what exactly? Not Illuminati. Exactly, is it like these are just people that no one really specifies and knows of as well because of their power?
They control everything. Okay, so if you control pretty much everything, that's a general term. But you look at the big media companies of the world, the propaganda machines, the machines that pump out what we see, whether it be on Facebook, whether it be in newspapers, whether it be on television. They're kind of all owned by the same people, and they're all kind of done with the same agenda, which is basically to promote that particular country's worth of stuff. Like, for instance, a good example of that is love him or hate him, Jeremy Corbyn had some quite good policies in mind for the last election, right? He was like a bit of a socialist over here, and you would think that the poor people of the north of England, who would probably have voted Labour and socialist tendencies all throughout their life, would have voted for him and he would have got in. But no, they voted Conservative because constantly for the past 2 to 3 years, Jeremy Corbyn was beaten down by the press, and people ended up believing that, okay? So a press, they're going to basically suppress a lot of information for the people at the top of the food chain, the secret rulers of the world. All right. So you never hear about them. You might hear like we've got a couple of people in the chat just now talking about the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds, you could write there has been books written about them. They're scary people, or are they? Don't know. It's conspiracy. It's conspiracy theories. So at the end of the day, it could just be nonsense. But there are people at the top of the world, the movers and shakers that push and influence the political agendas of countries. That's a fact. There's a group called the Bilderberg Group. They meet every 2 years in a different country, usually at a big hotel with a golf course so they can play golf, right? Don't ask me why, right? So these people decide on basically the direction that particular countries are steered in. Okay, that happens. It happens all the time. If you don't believe me, just go and Google Bilderberg and avoid the conspiracy sites and just look at the press.
Does that make us a chessboard? Does that make us human chess pieces?
Yeah, it's like the greatest game ever played. You know, it's you could say it's a chessboard, but I'm just likely to say this: the people at the top now, they own both the white pieces and the black pieces. There's no point in them actually playing all the time. You know, it's just one of those crazy things. But it boils down to Rab saying it's boiling down. This is Rab in the chat saying it boils down to the money and the power. I'm going to go more with the power, because we've discovered over the last election and during Brexit here, the Conservative Party talked about not having a magic money tree to be able to shake and the pounds to fall out to basically fund the infrastructure programs that our country needs. Wow, they found the magic money tree now. They have found that tree, and they're funding people to stay at home. They're funding the NHS to look after it during the virus. And it brings on to what Steve was saying. It's going to bankrupt the country. Correct, Steve?
Correct.
Correct. If you bankrupt the country, all right, the people that have lent us the money are going to call on those debts, okay, and those debts get paid off through generations worth of us paying taxes. Whether it be short term, the taxes get raised and then the veil's pulled over our eyes because we're happy to be back outside again, is, in my opinion, quite feasible. But looking at it, okay, I think it goes a step further. I don't think that it's going to be a stealth tactic. I think eventually we will walk into a new world order where there's more control and less freedom as a result of this. And I think that we've been conditioned as well with social isolation to have massive mistrust of our fellow man, the same way as they had massive mistrust of their fellow man in communist Russia. And still a bit of that going on in Russia, still in the rural aspects of it all, you know. But it's down to power. It's down to power. You know something? We could actually just stand up as a country and say, "Fuck you! We're not paying the debts. What are you going to do about it?" Iceland did that. Iceland did that. Here's the second thing about Iceland. During the banking crisis several years ago, Iceland was the only country to take their bankers that caused the banking crisis in their country and put them in jail. They were told by the World Bank that their economy would never survive, would never grow back, and now they have one of the strongest economies for the size of their country in the world. And they are free from the the World Bank policies. They're still part of the International Monetary Fund, but they are not part of the World Bank and the way that they create fiat money. So my whole opinion is that basically this whole virus could be nonsense, and we'll go on to why I think it's nonsense from a personal perspective in a second. But I want to speak to you guys. I've just rambled for 10 minutes about my theory about this. I'm saying my theory is ridiculously outlandish. The use of 4G to control us through facial recognition and flying drones seamlessly through the streets to shoot us, where the soldiers don't even know that they're shooting us because they're playing a game through the Unreal Engine in little shacks in the desert somewhere. All right? That is basically my crazy theory. I don't think it's true. I'm sticking my hand up right now. It is just a bit of fun. Okay? It's a bit of fun, but it's like, oh, I've heard more crazy things in my life, Mojax.
That's true.
Can I just add one thing? Can I just add one thing quickly?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Has anyone else heard the rumours that China is going around buying all the companies out, which they can afford to buy out?
Like what? Which ones?
I haven't heard that.
I've heard bits and bobs that China's basically been playing Monopoly in China. They've been buying out small companies.
I've heard something along those lines as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Well,
the thing is
called consolidation of assets, and that's
I
perfectly
know,
normal in situations like this.
But the thing is, as I said to you off cam, Mojax, the thing about the Chinese is if you're caught spying over there, it's a death sentence. It's a life sentence until someone bails you out. Until the Chinese basically say, right, it's going to cost you such and such to bail them out. And the thing is with China is I've been over to China many years ago, but I didn't go to the slums. I stayed in and around Hong Kong, and I was there for 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, the people are the most friendliest, outgoing, chitty chatty, lovely people. But the thing is you don't want to diss their government, because as soon as you diss their government, look at what happened in Tiananmen Square. Look
Can I
what
ask you a
happened.
question? When did you go to Hong Kong?
In my early 20s, about 20 odd years ago.
Right. So Hong Kong in your early 20s was a British colony.
Yeah, exactly.
It was part of the Chinese government. It was part that you wouldn't have if the people in Hong Kong, all right, were British passport holders.
It wouldn't surprise me, bro. It wouldn't surprise me.
No, but no, they were. They were. That was a British colony. It wasn't part of mainland China. They had their own government. They were not,
as I'm saying,
weren't looked after by the Chinese government.
The thing is the Chinese people themselves, they're very, very polite. They're very, very courteous. They're very chitty chatty. But the thing is you don't want to diss their government. As soon as you diss their government, you're signing your own death sentence. And the thing is I was speaking to the reason why my camera was off for a couple of minutes there is because I got a bit of a call from one of my friends in Europe, and he says basically on the lines of is it's a worldwide thing. Everyone is all chipping in because the thing is there's a certain role of the dice to get. Like what you were saying that someone's playing a game on the Unreal Engine, but the thing is at the same time is people every day, every minute, every hour, every second rolls the dice of fate to see what comes up. And the thing is with China is, since Russia and America, they've kissed and made up, the Cold War is gone, or has it? We do not know. We only have to take the words. That's another conspiracy. But the thing is China is looked at by envious eyes. Because what's in China? Except for 25 plus million people. There's a lot of ore in the mountains. There's a lot of water reserves. There's a lot of envious eyes looking at China, and they want one excuse to go in and do it. It's like back in
they'll never go in and fight the Chinese, mate. There's 3 billion.
If we went in to fight the Chinese, we would lose, hands down. They will win.
And then we're not going to go to war against the Chinese for 2 reasons. They've got the 2nd largest air force in the world, right? I think they've got the 3rd largest navy, and they've got the 2nd largest standing army. Okay, and they're only kind of aggressive militarily towards Taiwan, to be perfectly honest. They dip their military fingers in things. They dip their aggressive electronic warfare into fingers, and potentially through conspiracy theories like we've discussed tonight, biological warfare as well. But okay, as a whole, you're right, the Chinese people are delightful people. Okay, they're also they're very similar to the people from communist Russia as well. They're also very mistrusting of their fellow people as well, because of the way that their secret police operate. Like you're saying, you don't want to screw over the Chinese government, mate. I totally believe that. I totally get that and believe that. And no, like I say, nobody's going to go in. And when you started this thing about buying the companies over at the start of what you were saying, that happens whenever there is a market crash, or whenever there is any sort of financial market situation where small companies are losing money, bigger companies. It's called consolidation, and it happens frequently. It's happened in this country many times before. Rab says good night. His eyes are going cross-eyed. It's too early in the morning for him, so he's good night now on the chat. Let's have a look at the rest of the chat as well just now. And we've got a chap in America called Tuta. I hope I said your name correctly. Thank you for joining us on Facebook tonight. Mucho apreciato. And if anybody else is still watching now, please say hello on the Facebook chat. Say hello on the YouTube chat. Let us know what you think about what we've said. I think that a lot of our theories are ridiculously good fun, and a lot of our theories are maybe what people are actually thinking as well, but are too afraid to say. I think that there's lots of unanswered questions about things, and I think as well that if you take the Iceland test thing, which started my theory off, okay, that is an actual fact. That is not a theory. Iceland, not Thailand. Iceland actually did test 5% of their population, and they discovered that if they took all the people that had the virus, that they could tell actively had the virus, 50% of them were not showing symptoms. As a result of that, statistics are skewed. Somebody is taking advantage of the skewed statistics, and they have a plan. They have an agenda, and it's an extreme agenda because it's happening. Hi, Tracy. How are you? We're talking nonsense conspiracy theories to do with COVID tonight. Thank you for joining us. It's good that you're giving us a little clap and a wave. I appreciate that. Let me just say, gentlemen, Tracy works as a person of exceptional responsibility within a power company in Scotland. When I say exceptional responsibility, she is an exceptional lady quite high up within the organisation, and she is the one that is keeping our lights on within the network for Scottish Power. I said it. I'm not supposed to say Scottish Power. Anyway, let's just say that we need to give, when we're clapping on a Thursday for the key workers in the health service and stacking them shelves, the people that are working in key positions have key people, and that is Tracy's lot. They're the ones that keep the power operating throughout the whole country, throughout the whole of the United Kingdom. People like Tracy's team are looking after the network to ensure that we have a window to the world with electricity, and also the hospitals and the schools that are still open, the shops, everything still has its power. And they're working on skeleton crews as well in difficult circumstances. So let me just say I did it this morning or yesterday morning. Tracy, you're amazing. Your team is amazing. And we are very grateful, not just for the health services, but also for you and your lot too. I can't big that up enough. It's something that we'll take for granted, the use of electricity and the fact that it's always there. Okay, so if you've got Twitter, just go on Utility Heroes. Yes, that's a great way of putting it. Utility Heroes. You need to get that on a t-shirt. I'm going to make merch with Utility Heroes. But no, we're having fun with outlandish conspiracies. We've got about 10 minutes left. I've done this as a special tonight for an hour and a half long show instead of an hour. So, Stephen, you're our newest member of the panel tonight. You've had a few interesting things to say, and I liked what you said about following the money type thing with the NHS and perhaps losing that to America with a corporate takeover of it all. When you put that in amongst what I've said as well, even though what I've said is reasonably crazy, okay, it's quite out there, quite outlandish. But even if you took it with a pinch of salt, it fits quite nicely in with what you've said as well, following the money and stuff like that. It gives some credibility to it all. Do I believe 5G will be flying drones through the cities? No, I don't really. But it was kind of one of those exceptional things. Do I believe that the virus was manufactured? Perhaps a strain of it was. We don't know. Okay, we don't know for sure. Did it? I'm more likely to believe it did come from the wet markets. Yep. And perhaps maybe it has been modified. Time will only tell. Somebody is doing something somewhere as a result of all this. The statistics we have proven factually are inaccurate for the amount of people that have actually had COVID. So if they're not accurate, are we in a crazy pandemic the way that it is?
You've just hit the nail on the head there, I think. This has just been very convenient for the governments of the world to push their own agenda. There's been something in the works. Something's been getting planned. This pandemic has happened, and it's gave them the opportunity to do whatever it is that they want to do, because they're keeping I suppose it is a fair amount of the population in their homes. So something is getting done. They're keeping us inside for a reason.
I agree. I totally agree.
There's things going on. You're saying about the death figures as well being skewed. Absolutely. Because not one person has actually died of COVID-19 yet. Everybody has died after testing positive to COVID-19. Nobody's died of
COVID-19 pushed the symptoms that actually killed them though.
You watch every statistic says another 100, 200, 300 have died after testing positive to COVID-19, not of COVID-19.
But testing positive. So with the COVID-19 though, that what the people are dying from is respiratory problems brought on by COVID-19. So the virus is destroying their lungs.
If you look at other statistics of influenza or even flu, like during the winter, you look at the statistics of death and compare them to now, and you've got the same statistics.
Well, that's the thing as well, that Ukrainian doctor was talking just about the same thing as well, that he was trying to get data from last year to compare it to this year, and there's basically there's not much of a difference. There's like maybe compared to the year, there might be 200 less in some countries and 300 more in other countries. So it's from a statistical point of view, that is not that amount of deaths horrible. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to wish it upon anybody. But when you look at just numbers, okay, there isn't that much difference between what's going on last year compared to this year. And that's what that doctor found out as well. Tracy, that it's Gwyneth Paltrow in Contagion who has spread it all around the place. And the run rate of death isn't ever discussed. You know, it's it's a COVID world we're living in just now, and the paradigm has shifted in a direction where we as people don't truly know where it's going to land. That's what frightens me the most. What's going to happen when we open our doors and step outside again? Is it going to be a benevolent, wonderful world, or is it going to be a terrible global dictatorship? You know, is it going to be somewhere where we can be proud of our government, or is it going to be something where we're going to be rebelling against them because we can't believe they want to go backwards instead of forwards again? This is the product of what we're going through as a planet just now. I said to Cognag the other night there, what if this is not manufactured? What if it's nothing at all right, other than the planet flexing itself to say, you've upset me because of the pollution and the way that we're raping the planet as a whole, all right? And the virus is a result of it all, because you look at all the people going indoors and the lack of pollution because of cars, buses, trains and things not operating. The air is cleaner by 57% in Scotland alone. Wuhan had an 85% reduction in pollution over its skies, to the point of not having the grey clouds anymore. You know, so there's all these things to consider. Is it a natural thing that we're now being forced indoors to avoid this virus? Okay.
And that, I'm glad you brought that up.
Sure.
Because that's the one I believe in the most. But it's for totally reasons of my own. But growing up my whole life, I've always seen the planet as a fully living. If the plants are living and everything connected to the ground is living, then the earth itself is a living organism itself. And that would make us the bacteria and the virus.
Yeah,
which
makes sense.
All bacteria and viruses aren't supposed to be bad. In my head, we were supposedly really good for the planet, but just
we've got
certain
bacteria
things happen.
inside us, you know?
So it's like it's doing exactly what you're saying, but once again, that is a theory too. I just tend to be very earthly believing on that whole aspect.
That's cool. Right, we're going to wrap up there. I'm going to give each of you 30 seconds to wrap up with what you think this is all about. We will start with Mr. Angel, and then once we've finished everything, I will say goodbye to everybody, and then I'm going to ask you three gentlemen, just stay in backstage. I will mute your cameras and things. Look like I've taken you out of the stream, but I'll bring you back into it just so I can end the broadcast without any of us sneaking back in at the end. So, Mr. Angel, what do you want to wrap up with tonight?
The truth is out there.
The truth is out there. Mr. Cognag, what are you going to say to wrap up tonight with?
I'm speechless.
That's a first.
Yeah, that's a first, mate. That's crazy. Stephen, newest member of our panel, thank you for joining us tonight. You're always welcome to come in. If you've got any suggestions of what we want to talk about sometime, I'm also quite happy to create a show specifically with you if you've got a topic that you're interested in.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been good fun. What have you got? Anything you want to wrap up with tonight?
Just say question everything. Don't believe everything that you read on Facebook or see on the news or anything like that. Have a little look, do your own research.
That's a great way to think. And then there's me, Mojack's Happy. What do I think? Well, I think that what I've said mostly is quite good fiction, would make a great story, but there are some merits in the sort of things that I've said. I will say that it's just now we are living in a world where you have to take the virus seriously. So do wash your hands, do stay home, don't go out and be assholes and have parties and things like that. Because if you know, I'm treating the virus as if it's real, I will continue to treat it as if it's real. For the foreseeable future, I'm not going to take the risks of not being around for my children. I think that's very important. I think that there's enough people taking risks in the world just now as it is to protect us from it. If you have been watching on YouTube, may I ask you just to go and click the follow button on that page for me, please. It just makes it easier for Facebook to take me more seriously as a broadcaster, and as well on YouTube, click the bell as well as the little part that says subscribe. This is why you always hear streamers and YouTube saying, hey, click like and subscribe. It's because of the mathematics for when you search for our stuff or search for similar content, it pushes our stuff closer to the top. Please share everything. Please tell your friends. We're always here every night from midnight and every morning from 9:15, apart from Sunday mornings, because I like a long lie on a Sunday. Okay, so we've got other content coming up. It's not going to always be about COVID. We've also just opened a Discord server. If you're interested in being part of an eclectic artistic community, we have set up a Discord server and it's called The Commune, and it's designed for internet creators, real musicians, real artists, graphic artists, writers, poets, everybody, even gamers. We've got gaming section. So if you have Discord, come and join us. I will put the link for it on the Facebook page and on my Instagram, and also I'm going to make a little video about it for the YouTube section tomorrow as well. You can find me on Mojax_happy on Instagram, and I would love to hear from you. But please do come and join the Discord. It's about to launch, but I will give you a free tour, and if I know you, you will automatically go to tier 3, so you can go to all the nice channels and start using them and putting postings up. In the meantime, please be safe, be sensible, and always stay in touch. That is my mantra. If you don't stay in touch with people, how do you know how they're surviving? In the meantime, take care, good night, and thank you for watching.